Good morning, everyone. Welcome to The Ground Truth. My name is Thomas C. Davis, your host and candidate for this next hour of the show. Welcome on in. I'll just kind of flat my yap a little bit about random stuff as we let folks join in if that's where we're headed with it. Oh, and then the other thing I do typically, let's get to it. And I got to switch accounts on my other device here, but to make sure um, I am indeed on and broadcasting. So let's find the channel. There we go. Oh wait, oh that's not what we're looking for. Oh, there we go. Make sure I can hear me. There we go. Yep, perfect. Okay. So that being verified, we will leave it going. Make sure I can hear. Okay. All right, let me get set back up here. All right, perfect. There we go. Now we're all dialed in. Okay, we do have some things to talk about this week. Busy week, and let's go ahead and get into it. I'm going to start off the show letting you know. Let's talk about the calendar first, and I'm going to talk about the upcoming events. Just so that's just how we're going to do it. Tonight we are on the Warren First 931 and the Warren County Joey Candidate Forum. Looks like, and that starts at 5. I haven't yet seen like the full breakdown of when I'll go, but especially if you live in Warren County and you want to see your local representatives, come on down to that, as well as myself. I'll be there, and I believe the format. What I yesterday talking to Kelly, I'll get 4 minutes to stand there and bump my gums, and then they're gonna. I guess there's questions for the other one, so that's going to be interesting, I think. And as a Warren County resident, I'm interested to be there and see what the other candidates have to say. I think I'm pretty dialed in at this point on who I'm voting for in a lot of these races, but there's some of them I'm still looking at, and I'm still vetting candidates. So, but in the other races, I'm reasonably confident I've made up my mind. So there is that. So that's tonight. But the thing I want to get to up front here first is early voting starts next week on the 17th, and it goes through the 1st of August, and then election day is on the 6th of August. And I'm mentioning that because, and I've said this before, but I just want to be upfront, clear, let everybody know I am still the quartermaster here in McMinnville of the VFW post. And part of that, what I'm doing is going to the national convention. I've done this, been to a couple other national conventions. That's what happens. Posts and folks out there. That's how the past bylaw stuff. That's the functioning, the governing, if you will, of the VFW. And how do you get represented? You send folks there. I am one of those representatives that the post has decided to send as a delegate. We got 2 of us going this year, myself and our commander. But, and I say that to let you know that I will still be available. In fact, I leave on the 24th. I will have to take a look at that. Maybe we get a break here, but I should still do the, oh, you know what? We may have to do, I'll get word out on that. We may do the 23rd for the Ground Truth that week. We'll definitely have it dialed in by next week, but because I think my flight is fairly early. In fact, I know it is. So just expect for that. But the 24th through the 30th, I will be in Reno. But like I said, we'll looks like we'll bump up the Ground Truth, but I'll still do videos from out there, things that come up. I'm still campaigning, still send emails. Obviously, this day of technology, we can get things done. So there is that. And I'll post a couple videos from there. It's actually pretty interesting to go to these things. And again, as a member of that organization, that's how, if you want to affect change, that's, for the expression, that's how the game is played. You go out there and interact, and it's great to go out there and talk to other veterans and hear other stories and do those things. But like I said, I want to let everybody know that I am making that trip out there, but we'll still be accessible. Still have some folks on the ground here attending some events that we have going on. So we're still getting after it. So there's that one. Let's go ahead and we'll run the calendar. Looking forward. So tonight, the Warren County Joy, Warren First 931 event. We're going to that. I'm a week ahead. Let's get to the 11th. Tomorrow, the 11th. So, oh my gosh, my calendar is being super weird. So, all right. So tomorrow I'll be in Davidson County. Michelle Vetter is running for the state. I think it's the House seat up there, but she is trying to replace one of the Justins, and graciously been invited. Or, she's graciously said, put out the request or the ask for me to come up and be there with her for a little bit. It's also a food drive for dog shelter, I think. So anyway, I got a bag of dog food we're taking up there. We'll stay there for a little bit. Say hey to those folks. Then we are beating feet back to we'll go through Cannon County on the way up there, but a couple events in Cannon County. That one, we're trying to get to the tail end of it, and it's a candidate forum there. It did not get added on to my calendar, but look at the Cannon County. I think it's listed there somewhere. So a couple events, and then there is another candidate kind of meet and greet, and it looks like it is for the Register of Deeds and Bill Sharp for sheriff. It looks like. So we will attend those events, and then we're heading over to Rutherford County, and this it starts at 2. I'm not, like I said, timing. These are not our events, so we're just gonna show up and meet these candidates. Hey, because anybody, any side, wherever, you jumping into the stepping into the arena. Thank you very much for doing that for this country and participating in what is our republic. But over to Rutherford County, Kenneth Barrett and his ice cream social. We're going to stop by there. Then we get to cruise home, let some dogs out, and then get changed up maybe. And then we're down to Marion County for the Reagan Day dinner down there. Looking forward to that. I will get a few minutes on stage to introduce myself, and probably a fair amount of those folks I'm already going to know, which is awesome. I've enjoyed going down to Marion County and doing some events down there through these last couple of years, and at the GOP meetings and that stuff. So that is that. And then Sunday is actually, try not to do a lot of stuff on Sunday, but other than in church and around the house, but it is what it is. There's actually a mix up. I'll take the oversight on my part and not staying engaged enough with the Tennessee Republican Assembly, but they're having their endorsing convention on Sunday, and I'll be going over to that mainly just to get back involved and to be a part of that. It's a gathering of people, so I'll hand out cards and do the thing, earn some more votes out there. And Monday, what are we doing? That's Monday here back in Warren County. Hey, and I'm super excited to have have these events back in Warren County. This is where I live. We were able to go to the Republican Women of Warren County put on an ice cream social community event last night. Had some folks that don't necessarily vote, but it was a kids kids deal. They had a little game set up, and it was great. I appreciate them for putting that on, but was able to attend that. Initially I was not going to be able to do that. I was going to the VFW district meeting. District meeting got pushed off, so I was able to go to that and meet a bunch of folks. And so yeah, but I'm happy, excited to be back in Warren County for a few events, doing some things. It's always good to be home. You guys know what I'm talking about. But back to Monday. There is a candidates forum here in Warren County. And this is Ben Lomond, Main Street Media. If there's anybody else involved, that's all I'm showing. If anybody, and this is at Park Theater is where this one is. That one starts at 6. Like I said, tonight's event starts at 5. But yeah, so 6 o'clock Monday at Park Theater. We are going to put some, nope, actually I won't stack any other stuff on because my dogs are getting baths that day, and that's a me thing to take care of. We'll do some work at home on the computer. We'll do some postings maybe and get some of that stuff done. Looking at Tuesday, I'll probably go down to the Esquatchie Valley Veterans meeting down there. Hey, and again, as we go through this, because people like to make things weird, as I go to these meetings and as I talk about the VFW American Legion, understand these are nonpartisan organizations, and my participation in them, me going to them, does not constitute an endorsement from them, any type of sponsorship, any just outside of this campaign. I am connected to these organizations. So, if you're going to make it weird, you're going to make it weird. I know how it goes, but there is no endorsement implied or stated from any of these organizations unless I say it. So let's take a break right now and talk about those places that have endorsed me. Tactical Response in Camden, Tennessee. They have endorsed me, and I greatly appreciate that. I have been training with Tactical Response for a lot of years, and would definitely encourage you to jump on a class, go up there, tell them I sent you. It doesn't get you anything, but just to let them know that that's where you heard about it. I am also endorsed by Foghouse Firearms in Warren County in McMinnville. Go see those guys for, if you're in Warren County, you need some firearms needs, go check those guys out. I am endorsed by Chandler Hardwoods in South Pittsburgh. They are a gun store. So if you're in South Pittsburgh, you're in Marion County, go see the folks over there at Chandler Hardwoods. And also endorsed by the Campbell Armory in Tracy City, Grundy County. Again, you need some boomsticks, you need some pew, freedom seeds, whatever you want to call the stuff. Great locations to go do that at. So there we go, endorsements. But these other organizations, again, I am affiliated, I am associated personally as a veteran. What other ones have I talked about? But those are the ones I mainly lean on. But again, don't make it weird. And then looks like we have, this is back home. There's this is okay, Murfreesboro. The Young Republicans in Murfreesboro. We're looking forward to going to this on July 14th, and that is going to be 111 East Main Street and hosted by our Young Republicans in Murfreesboro, so Rutherford County. We're looking on that. We're looking at, Wednesday. We'll get some stuff put on here. That's the kind of over the weekend work. We'll get that filled out a little bit more. So, and probably Wednesday, look for some tailgate talks in whichever counties we go to. The 16th now, and we'll work it backwards a little bit. We're looking at, there it is. I will be at the Franklin County Ice Cream Social. It's their farmers market pavilion. Looking forward to that. And that'll be, so what I'm looking at for Thursday, the 16th of July will be, okay, yeah, that's the same time. So yeah, I'm looking at like the tailgate talks, maybe starting off in Marion County. Might even start, well, I have to take a look at the timing of it, but at least Marion County, I'll do a couple there, work our way over to Franklin County, and then just wind up at the Ice Cream Social, and that's at 6 o'clock. So that's, be looking for the postings on that. Friday. That's day one, early voting. And I got to tell you what, I am super excited about that stuff, about that coming and just doing this thing. So that's first day. And it looks like there is, we'll probably go to this. There's a meet and greet in Van Buren County. I don't see any further details on the calendar. And then the Sunday, I am not looking to, um, should just be church. And then that, okay, right. And then that's that week. Let's work backwards now, talk about what we did. So like I said, yesterday we had the ice cream social in Warren County. And I had my FEC filing. We took care of that. I did some work around the house. Not that you care about that. Got out and did some mowing. That was loads of fun. Looks like okay. Yeah, Wednesday we went down to. Yeah, that was we wound up in Sequatchie County. The reading of the Declaration of Independence, and there's my understanding that was when we actually did it in the colonies 250 years ago. That's how we used to. That was our interwebs back then. We went to the town square and got information, and so that's what they did. The local elected representatives down there graciously gave of their time and read the Declaration. That was awesome, and they also opened the time capsule, and that was interesting. So they had buried this time capsule. I think it said July 5th, 1976, so 50 years ago. And then in last week after their parade, they had gathered there and they dug it up. And so all the stuff was on display inside their courthouse. And it was pretty interesting to go through and see some of the stuff that was on there. If you get a chance, I think they still have it displayed. They said they were going to have that out for a bit. But if you get a chance, head down to Sequatchie County and check that out in Dunlap. Then Tuesday on the 7th, we were up in Nashville, an event up there. Miss Natisha Brooks invited us to an event. She has suspended her congressional campaign, and she's opened up a campaign run for mayor. So best of wishes to her in that endeavor. Absolutely support her in that effort. I've come to know Miss Brooks doing this, and I enjoy hanging out with her and seeing her. So I appreciated that invite. And then we did tailgate talks on Tuesday. We were and it was pretty interesting. Met actually one of the Democrats that's running in the primary for the 4th district. He came over and said, hey, actually had a pretty good conversation with him. And hey, listen to me as I say this stuff. I am not discounting what's going on in the Democratic Party and the socialism that's just on fire over there. But we have got to be able to have conversations with people, and I did. Actually, about an hour, Mr. Lanier gave of his time to come and talk with me, and it was a very good conversation. There are some topics in there where we can have some discussions. And maybe do some things better for the American people. They've got their own struggles in their party that they're fighting with, just like Republicans. There are some issues going on with this party, and if you don't recognize it, you're not paying attention. But so that was very interesting, and I appreciated him coming over and talking. But so the town talks, but like I said, we have got to be able to have some conversations. If anything, you have these conversations and do it in a reasonable manner, and we're not, yelling and screaming at each other, then, we can bring folks to our side. And that's happening. I talked about it, I think it was last week down in Marion County, the couple that has now, changed to the Republican Party because they see what that party is becoming. And how do you do that? Open up the conversation, bring them into our tent, as the expression goes, and then they just die on the vine. And that's the best way. The yelling and screaming, and it happens. There is a place for it, I guess. Occasionally, I'll get fired up about some things, but we've got to talk to folks. And then anyway, ran through the other town talks, met some more folks along the way, earning votes along the way, and I appreciate every single one of them. This is it's pretty interesting adventure. And what else did that take us back to? That looks like the highlights. I think we did some stuff that didn't necessarily make it onto the calendar, but that takes us back. Yeah. Oh, you know what? Yeah, let's talk about the 4th. Man, I almost missed that. Independence Day, my friends. 250 years. That was a great day. I think we covered roughly 200 miles. We started out down in Dunlap at the parade. That was enjoyable. I was surprised. That's a big doggone deal. I hated missing our stuff here in McMinnville that I usually do, but that was super cool to go down there and drive in the parade and to see. I mean, I didn't get a count, and I may be completely off, but I would say at least 100, floats. As we, just cars driving, actual, people put some effort into it. It was awesome. And then I would, if I had to guess, the crowd, it probably at least I'm gonna go low, I think, but 5 to 10,000 folks down there in Dunlap just lined in the streets. It was awesome. And some places I know we've gone away from throwing the candy. You have to have walkers to hand it out. They're old school in Dunlap. Man, there was candy all over the place. And unfortunately, on the downside, there was a bicyclist, I guess, that got hit by a truck in the parade. I don't know all the details. I just know that came out, and prayers to that family and recovery, and to the driver too. I'm sure it was not intentional. That I can imagine how I'd have felt if one of them little kids would have darted out there and would have hit a kid as the driver. I mean, you're obviously not intending to do that, but it was awesome, and that's part of the fun too for me is having been an operator, a vehicle operator in the Army, you dipping and dodging and trying to avoid things on occasion, and like them kids, like, all right, watch out, kid, get your candy, but get out of it. And I will say the dum-dums were not a hit. They were not a hit. They stayed right there on the ground. So, but it was amazing. So Dunlap, then we went over to Pikeville. We're trying to get to see what the setup of their parade, but went to the farmers market and walked around there, met some more folks. That was great. Their parade didn't start until 2, but and from what I understood, talking to one of the float people down there, that I think that was their first one. So, but and I hope that was a great success for Pikeville. Pikeville's a cool town too. If you get a chance, go check out Pikeville. Came up over the mountain there through Van Buren County, and then we hit Midway back here in Warren County. Walked around talking to folks there. Had some ice cream. It was amazing. And then went up to Milton in Rutherford County. That was so cool too. That community has come together, and it's the Milton Ladies Society. But they put that together as a nonprofit, and they're reclaiming and what they're now naming the Milton Commons. And they've done an amazing job up there. They're the work to this point. They've got water and electric at their park, in essence, their commons, which what I understand is traditionally what we call these areas. It's not really the town square, but it's a common use area. They have one of these. It's called Coops Commons in Sequatchie County, but that's what they're moving towards. That they've torn down some old dugouts. It was their baseball field that they had, and I guess they've got it set up now. They've got the new backstop in, or the framework for it. And yeah, so that was awesome, and had got invited to that at a different event in Warren County that we were at. So anyway, saw those folks up there that had invited us up there. That was awesome. And then made our way back to McMinnville, for the fireworks, and they had a really good show this time. They had the bands out. The Steve Harvey band was playing. I think that's right. If not, I apologize for that mess. But so yeah, so that was our Independence Day celebrations, and like I said, it was great. Uh, get out into your communities and surrounding communities. This whole deal has been very enlightening to the history and the folks that live in this district, and even the new makeup of it. Have been into out into Van Buren and Cannon County, and it's amazing the folks I've got. I'm looking forward to representing this district and doing some things. So now, with all that being said, we'll get into the things we're gonna I'll copy or I'll talk about for this week. One, and this is a follow up. I had talked previously about the art program that the congressional representatives do, and in the little tunnel, all the and I'm all, but the representatives that participate in this, what they'll do is the schools in the district have an art contest, submit their works of art, their paintings or whatever can be hung from a wall. Your representative or however it comes out will make the selection, and then that student's art is hung on the wall in the Capitol, that tunnel, whatever it is, in Washington D.C. for the year. Our representative is not doing this, and I called yesterday, and the answer I got was there was not enough interest. And part of what I'm leaning into, and truthfully about this representative that we have, and what I'm saying is a theme around this is leadership and or lack thereof. And this is one of those things. And so this is the weak leadership that you will see. You're going to blame something on somebody else. All these other areas, all these other congressional districts across the nation. I think there's when I looked it up a couple weeks ago, or when I was first looking into it, it's like 4 of our congressional reps don't do this. And so here's how it comes to leadership and how weak it is. So here's where, as a leader, you just this weak leader that is too lazy to go out and do some work. Throw your hands up. Well, there's not enough interest in it, so we just don't do it. The other side of this, and how I will approach this as a leader in this position, is generate the interest. I don't know. I'm not I have like zero talent in this. My daughter, fortunately, somewhere along the lines, is very talented. To have your congressional rep put some emphasis on this. Come to the schools. How about in some of this time you have, you take 5 minutes out of your day, throughout the week or whatever, and call the schools and ask about it. Like, hey, or find within your party how better for the Republican Party to participate in these counties than to engage their schools. It gives them a reason to go into these schools, and not only in just the Republican Party, but just the process itself. To gain some interest. Well, who my congressional representative? What is this? But to have a process of this, submit your art. We do a contest because it is winners and losers. But and part of that too is just participating, stepping into the arena and submitting your artwork and winning it and having it displayed in the Capitol for a year. How about you generate some interest in this program instead of just sitting on your hands and be like, well, nobody's interested. That'll probably be the next excuse I hear about a town hall, is that nobody's interested in doing it. Well, maybe if you were in the doggone district and were actually doing some things, that maybe people would be interested in talking with you. I don't know. Call me crazy, but so that's and very disappointing to hear this. But it's just on par with the lack or the style of leadership. I mean, even bad leadership is leadership. So very, very disappointing to hear that it's because there's no interest. And to blame the district for this. Like, are you kidding me right now? Yeah, I don't know if we can make that same parallel to the. We can't make the with our VA clinic. We can make the parallel that you didn't know because you're not involved, or whoever in your staff that's supposed to be engaging with that agency didn't know. And your friendship with our secretary of um, is being touted now. I'm like, well, I've got this relationship. Didn't get you on the inside track of the clinic closing in your district. So, I don't know. How good of a friend are you? So there we go. Oh, what happened here? Something weird with my calendar. All right, perfect. So that was very disappointing to hear. The other one I heard, I had heard he's traveling. Our congressional rep is out gallivanting around the world, England and France on this, and this is I didn't ask, but this one I'm going out on a limb and saying that it's the Codal travel, so it's on our dime. I don't know what you're going over to see. You obviously have an aversion to spending time with people that off the cuff in the district. Invite only events. Those are solid. I guess go to those. But he definitely has an aversion to spending time in the district with folks. I don't know. I just and again, if I get up there and my and I understand my perception of this, some of this is going to be probably completely off base. I'll own that, but I'll admit it. But as far as the town halls, that I absolutely can't see. And watching the schedule and how they conduct themselves up there, I can't see the town halls being a problem. And again, this comes down to you, the leader, generating some interest. Instead of snubbing some of um, your county GOPs, how about you involve them? I can't imagine any of these GOPs if I, as the rep, call up and be like, "Hey, we're doing a thing, a meet and greet." And even to me, even during election cycle, if you got some other reps there, bring them on. Let's go do a meet and greet, do a town hall. Show up to the things. And so I do not foresee that being a problem. That just yeah, the county chairs, I think I've met all of them. I can't imagine any of them being like, "Nah, dude, we're not going to do that." And then and again with the town halls, I've heard they're too dangerous. Any of these sheriffs or even the PDs, I'm sure like, "Hey, we're doing a thing." And again, at the end of the day, I am responsible for my own safety, my own security, and I act accordingly, and I train accordingly. But yeah, I can't imagine the counties, the sheriffs will be like, deal with it. Especially, your more rural counties. I understand that, in Rutherford, I'm sure Davidson, those guys, they're probably pretty busy, but Rutherford, I can't imagine having met hopefully who will be our next sheriff there with Kenneth Barrett. Haven't met the sheriff up there in Davidson yet, but or that whole system. But even still, give me a courtesy patrol or something, or just be hanging out in the area in case someone decides to try and make it weird and have themselves removed. But to me, it's just weak. And again, if it's too dangerous, go do something else. So, that's where we're at with that on the leadership and like I said, the art deal. Yeah, just do the thing, man. Generate some interest in the process, in what we do as a republic. So there we go. And so it kind of that's excuse me. So let's talk a little bit more about the VA clinic. I'm asking for the call still about that. In fact, I failed to ask about that yesterday when I was calling, because that's his plan right now is just, hey, typically the VA, or they're not the VA, but the government, if they start doing something, they just keep doing it. I don't think so. They were already willing to close this clinic. And how ridiculous is it that this is one of the only grups that we'll talk about, veterans and Social Security. When we start talking about cutting, we're talking about cutting from people that have skin in the game. Like, what are we even doing here? Um, Absolutely insane. But understand, it's the political football, the back and forth. I mean, they'll tell us they support veterans, but until it comes time to support veterans, and even the VA, like, we sat in that meeting, and all again, the VA is like, well, there's nothing we can do. Really, there's nothing we can do. Guess what? That clinic was supposed to close in May. It's open at least through December now. Now that fight is to keep it open. So anyway, that's the call I got to make up there today. Ask, all right, what has he done, or are we just hoping that the place stays open? So that's the weak leadership. Like, well, it's just going to happen. No, how about we stay engaged with a functioning of a federal entity in your district? How about that? Let's do that. That's a better plan. Have the staffs interacting, calling them every week. Hey, what are we doing? Where are we at? Researching stuff. How do we do this? Where in all this bazillion, stacks of pages of law that we have, that we find it and keep it open. And I was talking to our county executive, and last week I went over and talked to those folks. It's still Valor, and they're still all just running around like, well, we don't know. Well, how about we know? How about we get the congressional rep? Maybe instead of tooling around in England and in France, maybe you could have put some groundwork in on this clinic yourself as the representative. I don't know. Kind of part of the job, I would think. Aside from in order of precedence, defending the Constitution, protecting our liberties, then maybe honoring the contract, keeping the VA clinic open. No, more important for him to go to go tour England, I guess. And like I said, and tongue in cheek, some of this, I'm sure they wrapped it around some type of official deal. Would be my guess. Like I said, they were a little bit weird when I started asking, like, hey, where's he going? So anyway, the VA clinic, horrible on my part. Okay. Let's touch real quick deficit spending, and this is what we're getting now out of our Republicans. We have got to me, this is one of the biggest threats to us, is the deficit spending. And again, we'll stay surface level with it. I understand that the government functions differently than a household budget. The government functions differently than a business. But at the end of the day, there is an underlying principle that if you spend more than you make, or in this case, take, you are going to bankrupt. As a country, it looks different, hyperinflation, all the things, but it pops. It absolutely will pop. And I don't know when. I don't know. Maybe we have another 50 years doing it. At that point, maybe it's, I'm in 50 years from now, it's not a me problem, but it's our descendants' problems, our kids, our grandkids. Why are we going to leave them this train wreck to flip and deal with? Absolutely insane. Stop the deficit spending immediately, if not sooner. Stop all these excursions overseas. Cut it out. Cut it out. Is it going to be painful here at home with some of this stuff? Absolutely. But it has to stop. All these foreign nations that we're funding, in a lot of cases, that hate us, in cases that they say they're friends but they're not. Absolutely insane. Stop it now, and then start cutting internally. Unconstitutional nonsense that we have gotten ourselves into. Cut the dang welfare. We have gotten hard conversations must be had. Social Security. This one we can't just pull the rug, because we have been forced to invest in this our entire lives. But we have got to have an exit strategy from that. Absolutely horrible plan. I am not a fan of the $1,000 thing for the kids. But I'm telling you right now, I could get on board with it if it is indeed a one time deal, and that's it. That's it. But it should be done out of our abundance. The federal government has taken care of all those things in the charter, in the contract, the Constitution that we are enumerated to actually do. If we get to a point where there's, we stop the deficit spending, we're on track paying more than just the dang interest on our loan. That's the number one item we're paying now is the interest on the loans. Again, we're doing funny stuff with our debt and the structuring of it and things, but yeah, put it okay. You want your legal citizen. You have citizen parents. That would 100% be my stipulation on it. At least one of your parents is a born citizen. Yeah, I think that's on my list to talk about here also. But deficit spending, we have got to stop this nonsense. Have got to stop it. And until we get some people up there that are on board with it, this is another difference now with our representative. He's voting for yes to raise the debt ceiling. Yes, the continuing resolutions. Yes, just the reckless nonsense, the fraud, waste, and abuse. They're voting for it. They're voting for programs that are fraught with fraud, waste, and abuse. It's just absolutely insane. Okay, let's bang through some of this stuff, and then as I watch our clock, we can maybe come back and oh, you know what? I think I got a couple. We'll hit the social medias and talk about some things there. Restoring the Second Amendment. This has been my deal. Repeal the 1934 National Firearms Act, unconstitutional. Boom. Let's get rid of it. And I understand it's easy to say, but that's where the work comes in. Is enough of these people that they all like, oh yeah, Second Amendment. What are you doing? What are you doing? And let's. Yeah, I'm tired of the excuses about this. Like, oh, the Supreme Court has got to say, and no, absolutely not. What we need to do is say, get rid of it. That's where it works. So get rid of those two. A lot of the rest of it will fall into place. That we are dealing with these ridiculous, retarded regulations. Pistol brace. You're going to tell me for 10 years this thing is legal, then try and tell me it's not legal, then tell me it's legal. Now, same thing. All the things. The short barrel rifle. Get out of here. Get rid of those. It's just absolutely insane, the stuff that we put up with in the nonsense discussion about it, trying to say it's a restriction on the people. Our founders did not, like, hey, let's talk about freedom of speech and religion and petitioning the government and the right to assemble. Oh yeah, but you can't have guns. And then go back to restrictions on the government and then the protections for the states. You can't tell me that's what they had an idea of. And then even as we celebrate Independence Day in 250 years, what started the shooting portion of that war? Because it took us about 10 years to get into that and suffering and trying to redress our government and get them to fix some things, or our government at that time, the British. What started the shooting portion of that? Lexington, the British coming to take arms. They were coming to take the guns. And now you're telling me went through the Articles of Confederation. Now we're doing the Constitution for what it is now, and they're like, yeah, you guys can't have your guns. Knock it off. Absolutely ridiculous. So anyway, our border security, immigration on here to talk about real quick. Hey, and we've seen this, how it works with a president that just says, yeah, no, I need the money to get the stuff done before I can shut it down, to a president now who is absolutely day one. I mean, shut it down. Awesome. And is actively working to deport these fools that come here. And here's where our Congress is not is it's about the back and forth. It's about the fundraising. Birthright citizenship. We had a ruling on that the Supreme Court flipping got wrong. It was not the intent of the 14th Amendment that you pop out a kid here and you get to stay. That kid's a citizen. No, that it just irritates me to know it. And what's the fix? Congress legislate it. Knock this trash off where we think it's up to the Supreme Court is the final arbiter of this. They have a say in it. Yes, they do. But at the end of the day, it's Congress clarify that mess because that and we're seeing the invasion happen because of that. Knock it off. So put up the dang fight. And we've been talking about this for years. And again, pick whichever side. They haven't fixed the problem in the manner that they want it fixed. Again, look at when the Democrats had hold of it. Why didn't they legislate and clarify? Yes, this is birthright citizenship because they don't want to. They want to argue about it. They want to fundraise on it. Knock it off. Fix the dang problem. There we go. So border security and clear out the interior. This is. Let me back up just a little bit on this. We have got to clear out the interior. We have been invaded. There is no other way to say it, and we've allowed it. You talk about the Islamists. They're here, and they're for a lot of years, and we've allowed it. Make no mistake about it. We are a Christian nation, and there is nothing wrong with saying that. Look at the founding. Look at the founders and their actual. Don't just take like, oh my gosh, they were all deists or atheists or no, the crap they weren't. You're gaslighting. You're straight out lying. This is a Christian nation. It was founded on Christian principles, Christian values. You look at it, there was definitely some divine providence in it. We mention it in our founding documents. We mention it in our Declaration of Independence. On and on. We are a Christian nation, and there's nothing wrong with that. And as a Christian nation, and as Christians, we can defend ourselves, but we have allowed it to be twisted up. Get rid of these invaders. Get rid of them. And how legislation, and then turn a president that is willing to do the work to get rid of these people. Stop the student visas. Stop the H-1B. Stop, or pause, as the Chip-Roy Act has said. And let's sort some stuff out in our own house. Let's get our own house in order, because it is not. Let's get some of this foreign government money out. AIPAC, I'm talking to you. I've already said I will not take that money. I'm not jumping in bed with pharmaceutical companies. They're not even half. They're predominantly the reason we're so sick as a nation. Yeah. So and that's back to the spending. Cut that crap out. I'm not going to lobby for and look at the politicians that are taking the money, that do take this PAC money. So there we go. All right, popped up this time, and I have had some discussions this week about it, like our voucher programs or that, and to me, again, get rid of the Department of Education. They're useless, almost. In fact, they're a detriment in most cases. How much administrative nonsense do we need? Just get rid of them. Let schools do it. I'd be okay with maybe a very small portion of that. In that we're going to say, and we could even do this with legislation, be like, states, you will teach civics starting in grade 1. Figure out your dang program. You will teach the Constitution. You will teach you will teach these things in every grade. That to me, I'm okay. Let's do it with legislation. Okay, again, we talked a little bit about veteran stuff already. And that's what we need. And I'm veterans, to you specifically, who better to represent us than us? And be careful. Vet your candidate. Because right now the Major Richard Starr Act is being held up by a doggone veteran. Like, what are you doing, guy? And then they're trying to cut from some veterans to pay for that. Knock it off. I got an idea. How about we cut we cut money to Ukraine and fund veterans? How about we cut money to Israel and pay for our veterans? How about we cut money to Africa that we're paying for aid stuff and fund the Major Richard Starr Act? You guys are clowns, man. And let's quit sending clowns to the clown show. I don't know. Okay. So, and to me, again, it comes back to what is the job of the representative. The job of the representative: defend the Constitution, secure our liberties against a tyrannical government, and then these other things. Make sure the government stays within the federal government stays within the confines of the contract, and then honor the contract. We're talking about veterans specifically. We've got it twisted up that it's a veterans or the legislator's job to go up there and beg to scrape this money that they took from us back to the district. Leave the money in the district. That's what I'm running on. That leave the money in the district. All right. And I do believe we are in an era now. We have a short window and to send different people up there. I've said that before. If you keep doing the same thing, you're going to keep getting the same thing. And while there are those of you out there that think Congressman Desjardins is a great congressional representative, he's not getting the job done. That in my estimation is the job of the representative. We're seeing, again, he leaves the veterans hanging out to dry. Went to South Dakota to talk about missiles instead of coming and standing, in the room with the veterans. I don't want to hear thank you for your service out of this guy's mouth. And he said it to me. I don't believe it. It's all it's lip service. And that's, we should be about the business. We should be men of action and getting the job done. And then coming back and talking about it, letting folks know, because this is a unique position. It is a district of 800,000. So, we're going to have disagreements, but we can set out the principles of what that vote means. And I've laid some of this stuff out. We're not going to, I hate the word compromise. I hate hearing that. We can negotiate on some things, but there are some lines. And I take this from the line in the decree to the non-commissioned officer. I will not compromise my integrity nor my moral courage. And that's come up this week too. How do you deal with these PACs? Just say no. Didn't we hear that in the 80s? Wasn't that our campaign? Just say no. You just say no. And I am completely okay if that gets me primaried. And I don't know. I think that, to me, kind of a badge of honor, really. If is in my first term, the next go round, that I have a foreign nation spend more than $30 million to get rid of me. That'd, man, and how telling would that be? And we should be paying attention to that. And specifically, that's the Thomas Massey race in Tennessee's 4th congressional, or Kentucky's 4th congressional district. But man, yeah. And sadly, it's a lot of that is money that we sent over there. They circle it back. Absolutely insane. But, to me, that would kind of be maybe a badge of honor to say that they, had to come in and spend that much money. That'd tell me that, in just a short 2 years, I was able to cause that much of a wave in things. Maybe it starts to ripple. And I absolutely, let's go. Because like I said, as a nation, we've got to start some of these ripples out, get back to the Constitution, get back to our founding of Christianity. We are a Christian nation, and we should not be able to, we should not water that down at all. And yeah, so that's where we are. Okay, let's talk. I didn't have some of the haters are starting to pop back on. I guess it, see if I can, I think it popped up on the grams. I do the posting on here. And other than to scroll through, I use Instagram for my comic relief. So we're actually, I guess I can go to my story on this one. I think maybe it was this one. No. Okay, we're not going to sit here and say, watch me try and fumble through Instagram, but it was a hater jumping on one of the ads on. If you haven't seen them, I think they're kind of good, but hating a little bit on me, which I bring it on, man. That's fine by me. Helps drive Al Gore's rhythm. So yeah, let's go. Oh, you know what? All right, I have to go to the other device. I'm having some issues with that. My tablet went funky with my passwords this week, so we're dealing with some passwords issues. Maybe let's try it here one more time, just to where the heck is my story? I think, is that how this works? That shouldn't be okay. Oh, this is add to story. No, that's not what I want to do. Okay, I'm back to that. But basically, the guy was saying that once I get up there and get in with Trump, and Trumpety, I think he calls him, but in essence, saying that I'll cave and just be a part of the problem again. I don't. I mean, anything's possible, I guess, but it's not probable. It's not going to happen. These are my values. I've lived these values my life. So, yeah, get ready for it. And it's, I've had those comments before that, I may not make some friends up there. I believe I can. I've got the background in going into tough situations and having to do the job, bring teams together. And it's just that's how we do it. You know, build the coalition, build the team, and start working and get after it. That's one of the other things that I really dislike that we hear, and they just they continue with the gaslighting. Oh, this razor thin majority. Yeah, I don't care, bro. I don't care about the tools you have to work with. This is I equate this back to Afghanistan. Hey, it's dangerous outside the wire, so we're not going to go. Or like I don't have any extra, no extra Joes running around, so I can't do it. Knock that crap off. Stop with your doggone excuses. Start telling about what you're doing, um, and do it. And yeah. So anyway, there we are with that. Other than that, I don't think there weren't really a lot of things, a lot of positive stuff. And hey, I do appreciate all the engagement on there. I'm seeing the posts. I mean, I'm getting over. Some of the my little ad dealies that I'm doing, over 10 or over a couple thousand views. You see this one, and you see those, do the things, the likes, the shares. Definitely, I ask for that vote. Show up on the the 17th is when early voting starts, runs through the 1st of August, and then August 6th. I absolutely, vote for me, and you're going to get a Christian, a constitutional conservative, Army combat veteran, former peace officer that's ready to go to Washington D.C. and get the job done. At least move us in the direction, I don't know. Maybe I am the one to get it completely back that way. I would say no. That's not how things typically work, but at least get us moving back to the Constitution. Right now, I mean, even our own party, they're still steering us right into the ditch. Maybe we tried to straighten up a little bit, maybe turned a little bit into the skid, but we're doing the same things with deficit spending. You tell us China's our biggest adversary, but we're tied at the hip even economically. Yeah, that's some other maybe next week. we'll talk about some other stuff like that. But so yeah, again, next week we're back on this time. Look for me this week over on the the Facebook. That's where I predominantly do this stuff. We'll push into the X a little bit more as we do some bigger things, or just really ramp it up in these last little bit as we go in. I've been doing the thing for pretty much since November 24. And yeah, just a very, very interesting, humbling experience. I appreciate everybody that has come on board, helping out, putting out signs, contributing, financially to the campaign. More importantly, their time. Folks giving me calls like, "Hey, we got this stuff going on." Just absolutely amazing to see folks come on board. There's a movement out there, and it's picking up steam, and it's America first, and we need a Congress to pick that up. And do America first. Follow up these executive orders that President Trump is doing with legislation. That's how the game is played, and these guys, they're not doing it. And our rep, he won't pick up the lead on any type of legislation to carry it and get it across the line. He's more than happy just to be like, oh yeah, I'm just doing. Anyway, and it pains me. At the end of the day, we're on the same team, but iron sharpens iron. And if you're not doing the dang job, step aside, man. Step aside. There we go. So again, I appreciate y'all. Do the things like, shares, comments. Until the next one, this will defend.